everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Megawati Halim, English Education Department, University of West Sulawesi, Specially Class C 2018. In this video is my task. I want to explain about the material English for specific purposes from my lecturer, Mr. Adi Isma SPD MPD. The second meeting, origins of ESP. ESP is language teaching approach where all content and methods are based on students' reason of learning. There are three main reasons common to the emergence of ESP. The first, the demands of a brief new word. This happened because of the activity of exchanging goods and services after the World War. English is the key to technology circulation in international scale trade, so knowledge of English is generally considered a prerequisite for good education. The second, a revolution in linguistics. Traditionally, the goal of linguistics is to describe the role of English used, namely grammar. The third, focus on the learner. Students have different needs, interests, which will have an important influence on their motivation. Their motivation to learn a language and effectiveness so that it learn faster and better. The third meeting, the development of ESP. There are 5 main phases in ESP. The first, register analysis. In linguistics, a register is a variety of a language used for a particular purpose or in a particular social setting. Register analysis is an analysis of grammatical and lexical features of the language used for particular purpose or particular social setting. The second, rhetorical or discourse analysis. In this stage, the second phase of development shifted attention to the level above the sentence, as ESP became closely involved with the emerging field of discourse to rhetorical analysis. The third, target situation analysis. In ESP course, there will be a process of knowing student purpose to learn English now, as need analysis or target situation analysis. Target situation analysis will lead the teacher to form a syllabus. The fourth, skill and strategies. The participle idea behind the skill-concentrated approach is that underlying a language use, there are common reasoning and interpreting process which, regardless of the surface forms, enable use to extract meaning from discourse. The fifth, a learning-centered approach. ESP concerned with language learning rather than language use. The importance and the application of the distinction that we have made between language use and language learning will hopefully become clear as we proceed through the following chapter. The 4-meeting course design. There are 6 main stages of development. The first, classic or traditional grammar. Language were described in this way because the classic language were case-based language where the grammatical function of each word in the sentence was made apparent by the use of abbreviated inflection. The second, structural linguistics. This method of linguistic analysis led in English language teaching to the development of the substitution table as the typical means of explaining in grammatical patterns. The third, transformational generative grammar. For ESP, the most important lesson to be drawn from Chomsky's work was the distinction he made between performance and competence. Chomsky's one definition of performance and competence was narrowly based, being concerned only with syntax. The 4, language variation and register analysis. The language varies based on context it is used. Sometimes it can be formal or formal and written or spoken. The 5, functional or national grammar. Functional deals with social behavior and represent the intention of the speaker or writer, like advising, warning, threatening, describing, while national deals with the reflection of the way of human mind think, like time, number, gender, and location. The 6, discourse rhetorical analysis. This stage deals with how the meaning between sentences is generated. The important thing is the context of the language. The 5th meeting, theories of learning. The first, behavioral learning as habit information. Learning is a medical process of habit information and result by repeated reinforcement of the stimulant circuits. This method will become known to many teachers by passing a basic methodology rule. The second, mental thinking as rule component activity. Learning is not just a form of habit but rules of learning, a process by which experienced individuals use with a mind to formulate hypotheses or contingencies. Mental sees children as human having their creativity. The fifth, cognitive code, learning as thinking being. Learners will learn when they actively think about what they are learning. Therefore, the effective factor learning as emotional being. Emphasize motivation as the effective factor. Before learners can think actively about something, they must be willing to think about it. The emotional faction to learn experience is the basic foundation for beginning of the cognitive process. The fifth, learning and acquisition. Learning is viewed a conscious process while skill goes unrecognized. This is how learners becomes a reflection a second language, but in the process and a ESP course that will benefit both. The sixth, a model for learning. A learning model will provide a practical or reference material for an ESP teacher and course designer. By studying, the need to acquire knowledge is a need factor, but the sum, if not more important, is the need to enjoy in a tangible way a process of proficiency. The sixth meeting needs analysis. Number one, what are target needs? For needs for a target is a general terms, which is practice hidden a number for important differences. In other words, the need for a target is what a student needs to dying the target situation. The second, a target situation. Analysis of his target situation is need for the material from the application of question about the target situation and attitude toward the situation to all participants in the learning process. The third, learning needs. Analysis to learn is what students must do to learn. Using our analogy of the ESP course as a trip, which we have made so far, considering starting points and goals and where goals. Therefore, analyzing learning needs. To analyzing learning needs, we can use a similar checklist for which to analyze the target situation. The seventh meeting approach to course design. There are three main types of course design. The first, language-centered course design. This is the simplest type of course design and probably the one most familiar with English, especially on ESP. One teacher language considered course design process. It aims to draw as much direct connection as possible between the analysis of the target situation and the ESP course content. The second, skill-centered course design. A skill-centered approach to ESP has been widely applied in a number of countries, particularly Latin America. A number of ESP projects have been prepared with the specific aim of developing students' English skills. The skill-centered approach is based on the following principles: theoretical and pragmatical. The fifth, learning construct approach. A learned construct approach is the learning is completely determined by the learned, as based on the teachings that can affect what is taught, but what student learn is determined by the student only. I think that's all for me. Thank you and assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.